Welcome back. We have now one of the highlights of the night, Rising Dawn versus Natives. Jamada, guide me through this one.
Natives are spring champions, haven't been looking so hot since they've returned here for summer, and have definitely been looking to redeem themselves game by game. Rise Dawn on the opposite side of things, coming in, taking up, of course, I believe they're the team that promoted, or they're the team that acquired Flunk Spot. They're the team that promoted. It's Unique that acquired Flunk Spot, and have been looking very, very strong. Definitely a roster that people were expecting to be towards the top end of the split, but so far, having dominated most teams that they come up against, I think we'll be looking at Natives in a very similar eye, given some of the inconsistencies we've seen out of Natives so far. But if we do get a Natives that look like they're playing on top form, I expect that we get nothing short of a bloodbath, Archer.
Okay, Bloodbath. So we're not talking about 50 minutes of farming, and then
No.
boom, we're done.
Any
We're talking.
any game with Vankstead in it could never be slow paced.
That is something that I agree for
Is
one side or the
is
other.
simply it's simply just the fact of the matter. Vankstead will never allow a game to be slow. So let's see how things go, because I especially think on the native side there's been a lot of talk about some of Lundorf's performances on the top
Mm.
side not potentially being as strong as perhaps they could have been. And Vankstead, he's the kind of laner in particular that will punish, any kind of minor misstep in any of the matchups that he gets given. He loves piloting things like the Darius to do that. He loves piloting the Camille, and it's going to be on natives in particular to see how they can hold him down up on the top side. But of course, it's not just the Vankstead show. It is a team effort from the Rising Dawn lineup. So we'll see. I think in particular for me, Denzel in the mid lane, some of these AD champions that he's brought out in particular, I recall the Akshan. It was something that many people were very curious about. I think it was week one, day one, or maybe it was day two, where Vankstead got the Camille, Denzel got his Akshan. Denzel, not quite an OTP, but definitely very, very damn comfortable in that champion. And I wouldn't be surprised to see natives just go towards comfort bands throughout. So what we probably end up here with is an overloaded draft where all of the very, very powerful picks on the patch are open.
Wukong has been kind of outside of the draft today, either banned or forgotten one of the games. They could have picked him, but they just chose to ignore him. There you go. Wukong is going to be the next one. But Zeri, we've seen her getting away, jail free card, and she was completely a menace during this night. Let's see if they're going to forget that one as well. That's one that you cannot afford, even if you want to play the Twitch and Yumi.
Yeah, definitely not. And again, just expecting to see more targeted picks. Snilly will have his Lilia banned away. Of course, Lilia a little more meta now since the durability patch. But again, wouldn't be surprised to see Camille just get banned out on on ban 3 here just because it is Vangstead or even the Darius, perhaps. We'll see what Native's want to go for. But again, expecting, everything to be up. They're actually going to pivot towards the Diana. So I wonder if Vangstead will quite literally just B1 this for the sake of B1ing it. We'll see. But Zeri, okay, actually a more, meta read on it. Zeri, very, very powerful, and Yumi was also up and available, so natives are going to, at the very least, take that one away. If you want, you could also go for the Ezreal immediately, but Snille's going to pick up the Udyr, so this is going to be a very, very tanky, bear man with the Yumi on his back. They're going to be able to set her up for those ultimates and keep the Udyr even tankier and more oppressive than he already is. I expect Yoppa to go for something fairly farmy and fairly passive on the bottom side, and we're going to be looking towards having Lundorf on something very aggressive towards the top side of that. We're looking to try and get some solo lane counterpick value, but seems like Rising Dawn will pick up the
Oh.
Lulu, so they're going to try and match scaling with scaling here. Give that Zeri as much of a boost in power as possible. Firerel has had some of those fast farmers taken away from him, but we'll see whether or not he wants to default to something maybe a little bit slower, a little less tempo based in the jungle, whether or not he has something else in his back pocket, or whether or not we just get Fangstead's Camille.
Vangsted with the Camille coming in. There you go, close. Now, you can get to counterpick the Camille. You can bring something that can nullify the Camille. And now I do believe on the side of a Rising Dawn, they need something to slow down. Natives, they need something to slow down the Zeri. They need something to slow down the Camille as well. But on the other side, I would say the same. You need to slow down the Udyr if you want to keep your Zeri alive.
So
Udyr is fast, So you need to slow it down. There
Okay.
you go. Twitch could be helpful on that with the toxins. I saw a Sage, but I think it was more for the meme than actually for the thought of it.
Yeah, so both ZD carries probably want the other support next to them more than the other, to be honest with you. Yumi's area a little more oppressive, and Twitch Lulu has historically just been the bottom lane duo that you will see the most solo queue dodges out of. But Natives have the opportunity now to remove away more champions, likely from Denzel and Farrell, of course, because all of these champions don't really go anywhere else besides their traditional slots. So we'll see the Tryndamere taken off of Denzel's list of things he can pick for now. Rising Dawn as well. I mean, realistically, you're just looking at anything that can maybe punish the Camille, gonna take away the Ornn. So whilst typically Camille is definitely, the kind of lane that can take advantage of Camille, or rather Ornn in lane, you're kind of giving over natives the scaling opportunity and the engage that right now they are sorely lacking. So I wonder if Rising Dawn will, ban away something else that kind of fits that profile. Maybe something like the Malphite on top of that as well. Even if Camille has a fine time in some of these matchups, I think just removing them away so that natives don't have as rounded a draft is maybe what Rising Dawn will go towards here. But instead, it will be the Silas. And I wonder if this is lending to anything in particular that they're looking to play. I see something like a Silas being banned away. I expect
Mhm.
something like, if we're talking meta, something like Ari, for example, but it doesn't necessarily strike me as something that Denzel will pick up. So I think just trying to pick at Relay's champion pool, if anything, and Lindorf over in the Jax. I mean, 1-to-1 with the Camille, it's going to work just fine, but you don't know what the jungle is just yet. So we'll see how much value you can get out of it for now. The Ivan Hover is pretty interesting, but I think it would be a little
I
bit
don't
out.
know. A new idea of a clear on iPhone that came out recently, and if Fat IRL is aware of that, that could be an interesting one. By the way, it
No.
is really fast, but I think it's an over above all because
Okay.
in competitive, no one still pull it off. It's kind of hard. But yeah, Akali coming in. But I gotta say, Camille versus Jax. Thanks, Camille. I don't know. Hecarim coming back. I thought about slowing down, but they want to get fast movement in. Seems like it's going to be a fast-paced game as well.
Yeah, it probably will be now. What I want to look towards is what natives will actually respond with, because now what they're facing down is a full dive comp from Rising Dawn here with just kind of a Zeri sort of duct taped to the side of it. To be honest with you, very self-sufficient in a game where they've got the Lulu next to it. But I think honestly, the Twisted Fate pick makes a whole bunch of sense. You're going to be able to just lock down that Zeri at any moment, having the gold card and the ultimate as well to reveal this Akali inside of the shroud is going to be very, very valuable. So a lot of utility and scaling inside of the natives composition, whereas on the opposite side for Rising Dawn, a lot of very strong one-item spikes into a lot of scaling as well from the Lulu and Zeri and even the Camille. So I think right now Rising Dawn have a lot more options in the early game to work off of through the top side, even through the mid lane once you hit level 6. But again, shouldn't really be so short-sighted on the fact that they still have things like the Destiny Gate and Twitch hitting level 6, having the Yumi on his back, trying to find roams potentially towards the top side of the map. A lot of options still available for natives, but you have to feel once these champions come online for Rising Dawn, once they hit, that Triforce of Divine Sunderer, the first time for Akali, whatever that will be, they're just going to look to skirmish, skirmish, skirmish. And at that moment in the game, if we're talking sort of like 12 to 14 minutes in, I'm not sure how Nays will stand up to it. But again, the scaling aspect, the Yumi with the Udyr, the Jax, Twitch as well, a lot to work with once we get past that 25-minute mark.
But until then, I really want to focus on his top line and see how Vangst is going to deal with Lundorf. We're talking about two well-known names into this division too. And we've seen this before. We've seen the Jax versus the Camille, the hook shot and the counter strike, the way you can play with it, the way you can force checks out of the counter strike with the hook shot with perfect timing. And Vangst is someone that knows how to play the Camille. So it's going to be an easy early lane in favor of Vangst if he's aware. But we know Vangsted. We know what he's capable on a good day and on a bad day as well. So roll the dice and let's see what we get at the end of the day with the Zeri versus the Twitch. We've seen this before as well. I don't know your take on this, but I'm still not convinced about the Twitch and the recent meta. I
Yeah,
high doubts.
I just haven't really seen Twitch work out that much in pro play, unfortunately. I definitely do believe in the theory of the matchup 1-to-1 with the Zeri, right? Lethal tempo, ultimate, outrange Zeri, she can never really touch you. You can kind of run her down with the Blade of the Ruined King. All makes sense. Perfect theory. It just seems so far the rest of the game around that isolated 1v1 hasn't really worked out for the Twitch side in particular. Whether, Twitch being the constant is the issue or not, uh, it's hard to really say. But yeah, definitely seen very limited success with the
Mhm.
Twitch so far in this meta. And so far, you have to say Zeri just feels like the much objectively stronger AD carry on the patch.
Okay. As we're about to jump into the fourth game of the day, tell us how are you watching this NLC today? Where are you watching? Are you watching on the bathtub? Or is it going to be Raid surprising us with the first bathtub of the splits? Now, be serious. Chat. You can steal away the glorious moment that he has been working so hard with the bathtub. You just need to jump on it, take a
You
photo with
you
your
just you
clothes,
just
watching
you know
NLC.
you just have to order some rubber duckies real quick, or if you've got them in the house, that's it. Just hop in a
Paint
tub.
a rubber ducky on the sheets, and you go. You're good to go.
Just like a really poorly drawn rubber ducky on a piece of paper or something can
It would
just
be the best moment of NLC I would ever seen, and he would still glory away from someone that has been working really hard. I would feel bad, but I would laugh nonstop until dawn would hit me. And talking about Dawn, Rising Dawn, a team facing Natives. Natives, just as you said, a team that ended the split in first place. They took it away from Munster. Nobody expected that, and they went into the playoffs and they completely took them down. And Rising Dawn, it's quite different. It's a team that is still trying to prove themselves and proving what they're about, and they're the ones that want to go into Division One. I mean, people are hungry now. People are
yeah.
really hungry for Division Two because they know there's a high possibility of getting into Division One.
Yeah, and especially when you look up towards those bottom end Division 1 teams, like honestly, some of these high end Division 2 teams are looking pretty strong. And I don't think you would be remiss for saying that, yeah, they look stronger than teams like SNG. Even, it's hard for me to say Eminem when we see them contest teams like Bifrost at the very top of the table. But, Eminem when they're just playing bad, yeah, even, a team like Eminem. So have to see whether or not a team like Nativz it can reach that same peak again when it matters just a little bit more, right? It's one thing to be spring champion when there's nothing outside of the championship itself on the line. Making it into that top two so that you can battle for a spot in Division 1 is when it truly matters. But apologies for the delay getting into game. We did have a pause. Pause is over, and we are here for the fourth game of the day, and I expect this to be a banger.
It is going to be, let me just check. There you go, Twitch with Lethal Tempo, what we talked about. But it's not only Twitch that's on the Lethal Tempo. It's going to be Snille and Lundorf, all three of them with the Lethal Tempo. Now, Grasp of the Undying for Vangst versus Lethal Tempo for Lundorf. This is going to be a different sort of matchup between Jax and Camille, in my opinion. So the one with the most bulkiest courage, I would say, in the early game could probably take the lead. And if Vangst is capable of going back into base, getting himself an early Sheen, I don't see Lundorf winning this. But if Lundorf gets access to the Blade of the Ring King really early, I mean, he will just melt through the HP of Vangst, Ferrari Rail as well, even Denzel. That's going to be kind of tanky. And if you do get a Blade of the Ring King, if you use the Wild Growth, you're just feeding the percentage.
Yeah, true. I mean, I do feel like in recency, ooh, very cheeky. Exhaust. The gold cards come in, and this is what you want to see from Twitch lanes. And I think Yoppa and Clocks may miss maybe 1 XP as they return back towards the bottom side. And actually, yeah, the Rising to the bottom lane maybe going to play a little bit of interference, make them take the long route around. But they are certainly going to miss all of these creeps. But will they win out on the skirmish that ensues?
They are sneaky, but fine forever seems fine for now, as Limitless is going to slow them down, and it's an entire first wave they're gonna lose. Oh boy, this is going to be a hard one to come from back, even though they wasted the exhaust. They also
Oh,
half
no.
HP at this moment. No experience. Jamada, it's derailing in 2 minutes.
Oh, it's a horror show. And I mean, that was always going to be the risk of making that mid lane play. It's just, they've accidentally lost half of the first wave. So, you remember when I said, in theory, Twitch into Zeri, really good. I agree with it.
Uh-huh.
But, sometimes outside factors tend to play a role in as to why we've not seen it per se have so much success. I wouldn't necessarily call this an outside factor because Yoppa and Clocks actively made that play. But yeah, we'll see how they get on being so far down in XP. for now, as Lundorf is just beating on Bankstead right now. Another leap strike may be available, but just gonna step back.
Bankstead is not feeling comfortable on the top side. Well, the same cannot be said in favor of Limitless. He's the one controlling the bot side. Those minions are not going to allow, but as soon as he uses the leap strike, here comes trouble. Here comes Ekrim. Here comes the gank. Vank's getting so low, and the shield pops at the specific moment that he needed. As Lundorf is getting some sort of assistance. It's going to be Snille with a lethal tempo. The lethal tempo is going to be lethal, and Snille is still looking for the bear slap. He's coming in with the Phoenix strike and awakens the fire of Nativz as he takes 2 kills to begin the game.
Oh god, this is really, really dangerous now for Rising Dawn, because Snille just picked up an entire wave, 2 kills. He's going to get the top side Skull Crab. He's going to be level 5 if I had to guess. I mean, well, first Skulls are kind of weak these days, but he's going to be super far ahead of Curve. He's going to even be able to maybe get the bottom side Skull. No, I take that back, actually. Limitless and Fine Forever went towards the river and took that up. But here's the thing. Snille, hold the point for now. Joppa, going to be able to get out of dodge with the ambush, but Snille going to be able to reset and just path bot to top again if he really wants to. And just extend his lead, even with Swifties. The extra movement speed says, hey, there's not enough hard CC in this game for me to really care about Mercs. I'm not fussed about the auto attack damage. I can just move really, really fast here. And 1-to-1 with Nisekrim, he is going to be very, very dangerous. Of course, you have to remember Fire is going to be bringing a little bit more to those team fights in the later stages in, in theory. But again, Udyr with a really big lead, with a Yuumi on his back potentially later on in the game, it's just going to be really, really hard to deal with. And now he's even coming to the bottom side to fix this lane state. So he's soaking up even more XP before he goes back to his full clear. And if he goes and full clears, he's probably going to be 6 at the end of this. So yeah, he's looking really, really strong right now.
With the safety with Swifties as well, so that's a lot of movement speed for Udyr. Not only to get that wave clear or the full clear as you were talking about, but also to provide the team additional ganks. I don't think there's anything Padre Real could do unless it would be to get some sort of invade and slow down the experience that Snille is taking in. Is capable of taking one of the camps. It's more than enough to maybe slow them down a little bit, but Vanks should be aware that Snille is coming to the top after they stole the Raptors. But the wave is not in a good position though.
Oh, Snille is angry. He's running straight into the jungle as you go for the top side gank. Seems like the top side gank. I think the comms are that the river bush is probably not warded, but the tri bush is. Fire doesn't have smite.
None of them have, so it's going to be a fight for the last hit, but Snille already won.
Yeah, and that's level 6. And here's the thing. Clocks, I think, can attach to Rally here, and they can just Destiny Gate up to the top side, right? That's how that should be able to work.
Destiny is in. It's going to be a 3-man dive, and Snille is going to be the one tanking, but this is more than enough for them. Snille is comfortable. Oh, it's 4 out of nowhere. Clocks took some ride, and the turret is stacked fully. The heal is perfect. They reset it, so they only need one moment, and the moment is going to be Yuumi taking up the turret. Not even close, baby.
Take a bow, Nativz. That was one of the cleanest tower dive executions I have seen in a long, long time. They bring Clocks up towards the mid lane so they can attach to Ryle and use the Destiny Gate to bring up 2 members. And they dive after finding Fat RL. And that's just great tracking as well, since they recognizes, hey, my Raptor camp's down. It's not been up for that long. He has to be on the top side farming. Force Fat RL towards the top side, take the Grump, and then go for the dive on top of it. It is perfect reading and execution of the situation. So they take down Bankstead off the back of the gold card. So watch the tower juggles. So Raleigh probably takes more towers than he potentially could have had to have initially, but Snille then takes an additional one. Lundorf comes out on 1 HP. Lundorf comes back to a little bit of HP because Clocks reattaches to him, and then Clocks tanks tower as well, so that there is no real threat of the other low HP members going down. Excellent stuff, Nativz. Demb is no doubt applauding the play there.
Yop is not feeling comfortable though, even though they have the perfect early game. Fine Forever is not going to be fine forever. It is going to be chased down by Snille with a lot of attack speed. Limitless wants to jump across the wall. He's trying to buy enough time, and he gets stunned in the mid. Why? It's not enough. Snille doesn't get the kill. Look at Denzel. Denzel is trying to be the one. Denzel in distress is his team. He gets the shuriken. Looking for Snille. It's going to be the perfect shutdown, and that's a lot of gold coming in for the Akali.
Yeah, and
Lundorf
Lundorf.
is going to get dived. Vunks wants to go in. Oh, the counter strike is more than enough. And Lundorf gets another one. 203, and Vangst is getting demolished.
Yeah, and I mean, my only assumption is there was a trade between Vankstead and Lundorf moments before, and Vankstead maybe just underestimated the cooldown of that counter-strike, and, well, Lundorf just presses E and no longer takes damage from the Camille. Simple as that. And on the bottom side, Nativz, they just got a little bit greedy. You could see Snille was going for Fine Forever, gets the flash, but isn't really targeting Limitless, who still had flash. It gives him time to go down towards the alcove and line up a wall hop, and then he flashes away as well. Denzel eventually shows up to the play and gets the cleanup. A little bit sloppy, a little bit of an overreach, but still, Nativz 5-1 up, almost 2,000 gold ahead of Rising Dawn. Gonna be feeling okay for now.
Let's take a look at another replay to understand what happens. It's about timing, and Lundorf was capable of holding as much as he could.
Okay.
Counter-strike.
0-1. So I think level 1 Counter-Strike has a 14-second cooldown, so maybe 12 or so. So Vangstead is just expecting it to not be up, and I mean, that didn't feel like 10 seconds, let alone what I just said. So
Okay, so
does Lundorf
production, can we click on Jax?
I mean, yeah, so he has 2 points in it. He was level 7, so he would have only had 1. It's 10 seconds now. Huh.
It had to be at level 2.
That is my only assumption. Obviously, it had the CDR from those haste items, but we're going to have to stop talking about that because there's a player on the bottom side.
Another fight with Destiny. Destiny seems like Zed is going to die. It's Fine Forever is trying to provide enough support to get ERL to get something, but it's not there. Snille is way too fast, even though Hackerim should be the fastest one. There's a man running in the pajama. Vangstead now trying to run away from the counter-strike. Flash is still available. Lundorf uses his own flash. Vangstead, he cannot move.
That didn't feel like 12 seconds. No, I've just heard our producer say it.
It was
in
12?
our ear, but yeah, apparently. But Nativz,
I mean, our analysis was calculated, but we suck at math.
I guess time perception is the bigger issue. Nativz, though, off the back of that play, they will pick up this dragon. And they continue to just snowball a map-wide lead. And again, it's kind of what we expected, right? They saw the Zeri first pick, they counter it with the Twitch. They pick up the Yuumi first as well in order to split up the pair. And with this Udyr taking control of tempo for now of the map, having really just attack those side lanes off cooldown, the Destiny Gate, just having a much better time of the early game. And even though I did say, you know, I feel like Rising Dawn hit level 6, that's when they can really start to play the game. It just hasn't really felt like that. I felt like it's been Nativz that have been a slightly stronger team, a little more proactive. Herald hasn't been taken 11 minutes into the game. You'd really like to see Nativz try and pick that one up as they're losing all these plates on the bottom side for now. As Snille will make his way to it, but we're just focused on getting some of those full clears in as Joppa burns the
A lot of golds.
Yeah. But I think he's in danger of a dive, and that's the issue here, because Denzel has first move, really has teleport, but do you really want to teleport to a 4v3? It's your weak side play to defend it. We'll see. Flash away. Fire out.
Onslaught of Shadows, it means nothing if a book is going to make you die. Rooted underneath the turret. Double B. Well, that was honey, because that was sweet.
What's stronger? A death omen or a small cat with a magical book? It seems like the magical cat book.
It's a book well, it's a cat that can read. I mean, that is scary. Bungster, that is not how you want to go down. Oh, I cannot even fathom the feelings right now.
That's really rough. How does that even happen? How did? That's unlucky. Well, I think it's safe to say, with all anticipation, the topside matchup has unfortunately been a bit of a dud, as Nativz have really put Vangstead in a bit of a hole to ensure that Lundorf can just get away with this, and he is just farming this tower in front of Fat RL. He doesn't have ultimate to catch up.
He's gone. He's gone.
No,
the shutdown is there. There are 2 shutdowns right now, and I don't know if you look into this game, if more platings go down. The only thing saving them right now is Limitless with a lot of platings on the bot side, or else at 14 minutes in, we would get bounties.
Yeah, honestly, I would wager that's fairly true, as Lundorf going to leap away to not have a negative trade. Snille, who's getting that? It's Snille with the aura. Denzel can't steal it.
Snilly has a mission,
Yeah.
and it seems like it involves wrecking every single lane.
It just feels like Snille is here to irritate all laners of Rising Dawn as much as possible. Speaking of which, he's going towards the mid lane.
Denzel cannot hide himself away from Destiny as Snilly is going in, but Hakarim is there as well. The shutdown is available. Is it another shutdown for the Akali? No, it doesn't seem like it. Snilly is running away. Onslaught of Shadows is there. Onslaught of Shadows. I don't know what happened.
It was just coming off cooldown. It wasn't quite there.
Ah, okay. I'm blind.
It's alright. It happens to all of us.
Oh, Counter-Strike is still there. It doesn't matter because he finally gets himself the shutdown.
Whoa. I mean, Vangster throws up the emotes, but that really looked like that Counter-Strike should have at the very least connected the stun. I'll feel a little bit bad for Lindorf, but just overstepping. His bounds getting a little bit too confident, and Vangstead kind of played that always punish that, and now Rising Dawn about to get this first tower.
All plates in as well. 5 plates alongside with the first turret. That is a lot of money. Can we take a look at how much Zeddy was able to cash in out of a sudden? 5,000 gold versus 4,500 at this point. It is a big lead for the bot lane. But Twitch does have a Yuumi, so at the end of the day, it should be faired out.
It's like the Yuumi is walking stats. Don't worry, guys.
It is.
You might be down in gold, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, yeah.
The cat knows how to read.
True. She's doing Nativz finances, apparently.
Okay, maybe I like Yuumi.
Oh.
If she knows how to do finances, I might like Yuumi.
You know what? To be fair, given your actual real life circumstances, yeah. No, I can see why.
Well, Team Fight Forever on top side as the turret is going to be bombed away by Lundorf. That zap is the last zap that is going to connect with that turret as Fed ARL is going to approach the top side, but Counter-Strike is still available. Onslaught of Shadows is used, pulling him into the middle of the fight. He's going to become a plushie. Lundorf flushes away, and Limitless flushes as well. The chase is upon us. And another shutdown comes in. Only you, dear, stay strong with the shutdown.
Pick up this dragon on the bottom side, Vangstead. He's been dashed into Snille, but he just feels relatively undisturbed about this whole situation, as it's like he's gonna walk towards the mid lane, maybe get some priority. Could cover the top side play, but whether or not he wants to is a different idea, as Denzel is just likely dead here. Next, gonna drop the Herald in the mid lane, so they're trying to cross map mid right now. Vangstead actually goes in.
Ooh. He goes in, he's going for the 1v3. Lulu is there to try and provide some assistance alongside with the shield. Gets the polymorph. Fed ARL had a thought, but instantly disappeared. The Destiny comes in and they pile upon the Lulu. And it tastes like blood at this point as she goes down. Hakarim is going to be slowly chased by a bear. Scratch that, it's a phoenix. Scratch that, it's a bear. Scratch that, it's Limitless getting exhausted. And the electricity goes down, they lose power. As Nativz are still on top of this game.
Electricity can't stand up to nature. Snille says, and takes him down. Yeah, the middle is just a bit overeager to try and make something happen off the back of a play that really wasn't a very positive one for them already. And Snille now is just going to farm up more jungle camps. As he is 2 levels above the Hecarim at the moment, trying to make it 3. Snille has been having a pretty good time on the Udyr, and it just feels like Udyr gaming. You know, you just go camp to camp to camp to camp to camp. Neutral objective after neutral objective. You know, you just kind of here, walking everywhere, farming, and then, oh, hey, there's champions I need to hit with my E-key, and that's kind of how Udyr gameplay goes for anyone who hasn't had the experience just yet. But he has, in all seriousness, been doing a very, very fantastic job of controlling the game for Nativz, and it's grinding them a 4K gold lead at 17 minutes. And we also had the first 2 dragons. Only Cloud spawned up, unfortunately, so it's not the most, you know, impactful dragon in the world. But hey, I mean, slow resistance when you have Swifties is going to feel pretty good. And actually, even if make a bit of a extra request, can we see what Snille secondary runes are?
Snille. How can you watch that on the...
So it's below, he's got conditioning and unflinching. So unflinching gives you additional slow resist, and that also scales off of how low you are in HP.
Yeah.
So because he's also got Swifties, and Lethal Tempo. I imagine he has the Tenacity rune because he's playing with it. Like, you don't need the attack speed one. Uh, with that additional slow resist, he's gonna kind of be like unslowable if they do end up picking up this soul. Plus, he's got a Yumi on his back. This man is set up for success to be a frontliner until Yoppa comes online. As yeah, there you go. Tenacity
Oh my.
is also
Okay.
there. So
I'll tell you something. It's going to be the fastest stuffed animal you've ever seen in your life.
yes, he also just picked up a Force of Nature. I think that was almost a full purchase. I don't remember him having anything beyond like a no magic mantle.
Yeah, I think he had
Yeah.
the null mantle in white straight up for the Force of Nature. Snilly is unstoppable in this game, man. This is a game that is making these two teams that are trying to rise into the top, specifically after the loss we've seen in the previous game. This is the perfect opportunity for you to climb the stairs.
Yeah, no, absolutely is.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. He's speed incarnated. The turret means nothing. And actually, they're going to fall back. They're putting on the Herald in the middle of the lane as Lundorf is trying to buy enough time. He gets a counter strike, but he cannot dodge the double coming in from the Zeri as Denzel is still trying to chase it down. They don't have enough damage. They're just way too fast.
Yeah, it just felt like their Nativz pulled the trigger on two different fronts when they didn't actually have the setup for the play just yet. That tower was still there, so they can't reconnect with one another. Lundorf and Rail were diving behind the tier 1 tower, and the rest of the Nativz hadn't actually approached the tower yet. Hadn't even dropped the Herald. A little bit too fast on the trigger pull there, unfortunately. And Nativz, they do get what they came for, but taking down a 300 HP tower with a Herald is maybe not the best value you wanted to get out of it. It's not the end of the world. Ultimates are going to be close to back up by the time this dragon spawns, so that's the important thing. Trying to play towards that soul, even though it is just the cloud again. Picking up the stats and maybe picking up an early Elder can really help you try and shut down the Rising Dawn composition.
32,000 for 36,000 at this moment. Native still with two dragons. They could get the third one if they get some sort of priority on that part of the map. A lot of vision coming in from Rising Dawn on the dragon, but it's slowly being chipped away. I don't think they can secure that one. And I don't even think Snille cares about that vision. They know Clocks is around someone because you don't see Yumi's cruising the map by themselves. So they know Yumi is around the dragon, but it seems like they have to let this one go.
Yeah, no, and there you go, they will. That'll be one dragon closer to soul for Nativz, but again, Rising Dawn, in theory, I actually think they should maybe let this one go to Elder. Because I think by the time Elder rolls around, they will be in an okay enough position to contest, but Denzel in a lot of danger.
Smoke screen doesn't work.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
True sight from the Twisted Fate ultimate, and that's why the Twisted Fate pick is so strong. Controlling the side lane. When you have a winning side lane matchup with the Jackson and the Camille anyway, being able to add an additional layer of control by having Destiny Gate available so you can pick up these side laners who are trying to catch waves, especially Denzel. You know, typically side lane diving Kali, very difficult, you know, very slippery, has the Shroud. Just reveal it with the ultimate, and that's all it really takes. And 100-0 pretty much between those two champions. Not very much counterplay, and Denzel just caught sleeping a bit.
Hecarim as well doesn't have a lot to clear in the jungle. He's trying to find anything at all, but he's behind in terms of level, in terms of farm, in terms of items. It's oblivious for this Hecarim right now. I don't even think it's the pick that is bad. Just Snille had a perfect opportunity out on the top side to just begin a perfect game with Udyr. And even though people flame Udyr, as soon as you get some sort of a lead, it's really complicated to step back in against this pick.
Yeah, no, it is such a strange champion, you know, because he is effectively kind of just a walking health bar that has, you know, really high base damages and a sort of stun on command.
Okay.
But he's a melee champion, right? And you would, in theory, if you hear that kind of description of a champion, you're like, well, they don't sound that bad. But when Udyr is 2 levels above your jungler and, you know, the highest joint level in the game, it's going to feel really oppressive to take him down when he's got a Yumi on his back as well. When he's zooming at, you know, 600 movement speed. Trying to lock him down with no real hard CC is a near impossible task. And right now, Rising Dawn are finding that out the hard way, and I think Denzel is about to find that out the even harder way. Their entire team is going to collapse on him.
Destiny is available even if he pops the smoke screen. There you go. We've seen this before. He just accepts it even though Hecarim was approaching on the lane. Meanwhile, what do you take away from this? What can you steal away from Nativz after they invested so much on the top side? Nothing. There's nothing to do except the Baron.
Yeah, the lane states just weren't there for Rising Dawn. They are going to have Vangster try and push up in the mid lane, but Nativz see this and they're just going for the engage right now.
They know they can just pile upon them, and Find Forever is going to lose his life, and it seems like Limitless is going to go down the drain as well. As on the mid lane, it's going to be Vangster taking away that turret. But what can you take with the turret while the enemy team is going to take the Baron?
Yeah, I mean, mid lane tier 1 feels nice, right? But you're about to lose the Baron on top of the 3 kills that you've additionally already lost. Nativz just have full control of the map. They've been playing this one out spectacularly, not really playing into, you know, a true fiesta that we see a lot of these Rising Dawn games play into. And they are just playing a lot like what I would expect from Spring Nativz right now, and that's definitely very refreshing to see, and it's what we've wanted to see from this Nativz side in particular, right? There's been a lot of inconsistency. We needed to see something controlled, something, I won't say slow-paced, but, you know, tempo controlled by Nativz on the map. And time again, whether it's the wave crashes into dive, whether it's, you know, the 4-man dive we saw at the very beginning of this game, whether it's still taking control of the jungle matchup, and then by proxy the rest of the map. Nativz have just been on form today, and Denzel just quiet on the sideline yet again, gets revealed by that Twisted Fate armor, nothing you can really do about it, and then you fast forward down towards it. Nativz want to try and start this Baron, and they almost do, but then they see Limitless, Find Forever, Fire just kind of chilling in the river. There's no reason for them to be here. They get locked up by the Yuumi armor. Find Forever goes down, and Limitless does his best to get out with both his summoner spells, but too many members on top of him, he just drops in the end.
54 minutes in, Germano. 4-16. It seems like one fast game coming in from this patch that supposedly slows things down. Lundorf yet again going for Vangstedt. The Camille, he was the one picking this one. This could be it. He's going to take it away. Counter-Strike is not going to work on that moment. And finally, he gets himself some sort of slow on that bleed. A Baron buff is down. 40 seconds on it. He's a key part of the push. But they put themselves in this position. Ferriarel is going to the back line, but I don't think anything is going to happen out of this one, as Yoppa is going to take a kill. Limitless is slowly chipping away on Snille, but he doesn't even care. Udyr is just like, yeah, scratch my ears. Fine, thank you.
Actually scratching Glox's ears. He's the Yuumi. But Nativz, they do lose Lundorf on the bottom side. 1v1. Lundorf again, kind of just overstepping. I think, honestly, if he didn't take one more tower shot there, Counter-Strike could have maybe saved his life. I'm not going to say for certain that he would have turned it around, but just a little bit too overeager on that trade. But Nativz, on the back end of the play, they pick up FireL, so able to pick up this dragon, this soul. And yeah, it is about to be zooming. Yeah, thank you very much, Reed. You know where to look. Unless, hopefully he doesn't base, and he just presses his E key. Okay, 549 HP. Yeah, zoomies up. 600, 633. A lot of movement speed. He can definitely chase Vangstedt down, but he's not going to have to because the goal can't.
You think you're fast, but as soon as you look back, Udyr's maybe closer than they appear in the screen. Vangstedt uses the hook shot to get away, gets the stun, the ignite is ticking, and there you go. Lulu is going to save the day, but the day is still early. We have a lot of time to make this happen yet again.
Yeah, I think they are just having fun with it at that point. Realistically, they need to go back to base. Lundorf now has already based back out to the map, and he's going to be a little bit out of sync with the rest of his team, and maybe Rising Dawn can try and capitalize on this. But again, you know, look at the minimap, right? They had to go and respond to Vangstedt getting run down, so they're on the opposite side of the map. Lundorf, beg your pardon, not going to be collapsed on. And Nativz with this Cloud Soul, just going to kind of do what they want now, realistically. Rotating around the map super fast, trying to engage into this composition where you have gold cards to have to worry about. Udyr on top of your face with all of his, you know, high base damages, and of course the Yuumi as well. Ultimate, it's just going to stop you from advancing forward. It's going to feel really, really bad. 7% out of movement speed combat, and what's the slow resist? I think it's, is it 10 per dragon? No, 3.5. The 10 would have been kind of crazy. 3.5. As you can see, he got hit by the Glitter Lance, by the way, but he is still zooming.
Snille is still zooming with the Yuumi on the back. Find Forever flashes away alongside with the Wild Growth. You're unstoppable for a second and then you're dead. That's exactly how this game is going, as Nativz are pushing in through the turrets, are pushing in through the base. They don't care about turrets, they don't care about your defenses. He's just too fast for you.
Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. You can't shred through him right now. Limitless is 3 items, but like it just doesn't feel like he's dealing enough damage because he's being healed up by the Yuumi at the same time. I mean, look at that. The Q is a fair amount of damage, but again, it's just not really enough to out-heal or outdo the healing that comes through. As now they're looking towards Vangstead, but Limitless as well is here underneath the tower.
When you see those two animals running towards you, Udyr alongside with the Yuumi, there's nothing you can do. You just pray to Teemo that he can save you somehow. I don't know, with a blind. As 28 minutes come in, another turret goes down. Destiny is procced, so they know where every single one of them are. The slowdown appears as well, and this seems like Nativz run away after the crime of taking 2 inhibitors with no sort of reply. There's a happy nightmare somewhere in the horizon, as a Nativz is being stacked up at 11 right now. Lichman should be installed, and Udyr is just waiting. He's just waiting. Come on, Yuumi. Come on, come on.
Udyr has Nativz as well. Just picked it
I'm
up.
just going to tell you, Turtle Stance has 100% AP ratio, and Phoenix as well is so powerful. So that's
Phoenix,
the slap.
Phoenix has, I can't remember the numbers, but it's really high. I think the total AP ratio on the
I think it's 90 or something like that. It's
something really ridiculous. I think you have to hit shift.
Look at that.
And it gives you the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80%.
80 and then 100. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty firm, and you can see with Yuumi on his back, he's got 106 AP right now. And which, you know, for 30 minutes into the game might not sound like a lot, but when all you have is a Nativz and you're a tank, that's a lot of extra damage to just have.
It's clearly going to be even faster. The way it's going to deal damage with the Phoenix Stance is going to be disgusting as well. You can proc it really fast alongside with the lethal tempo. So Snille is just cruising alongside the map. Really trying to get that Lichman going in, but not enough goal. Ferriarel is trying to take it away. Okay, stopwatch has been used. They're trying to protect the Twitch. Oh, but that's just a massive shutdown. Here comes Lundorf, and Snille is on the back line. He's trying to stack up the lethal tempo. The Phoenix Stance is not dealing as much damage as they need. As Denzel is going. Did they bite more than they can chew? Oh no! Clock loses his partner, and Lundorf is now there to try and capitalize. And meanwhile, it's going to be Vangstead in the turret to try and take some sort of kill. But it's going to be Yuumi taking it down. Lundorf slowly takes down the enemy. And meanwhile, Denzel alone. Oh, it's a new Udyr. This could be game.
I think this is game. I think the death timers might be long enough for Lundorf to just end. But the thing is, Twisted Fate needs to come towards the mid lane as well. Has teleport. What's the call going to be? 15 seconds till Limitless and Find Forever up. Maybe they can't end. At the very least, they can always get the inhibitor here. What will the call be? I mean, between the 3 of them against those 2, I mean, Limitless has Cleanse coming up. Super minions, they're hitting the wave, but they are weakening the tower. Oh, they're being griefed by the 1 cannon minion up, so now I think they have to go towards the inhibitor. Oh boy.
Oh, Super minion didn't see his quest bar.
Oh boy, that's rough. But I mean, they'll get the inhibitor at the very least, get a reset in, but the issue is that should have probably been game there. I think in more cases than it shouldn't have been. Lundorf waiting around for blue buff? Yeah, waiting around for blue buff. Doesn't want to reset, doesn't have anything to reset for perhaps. No teleport, doesn't want to take himself off the map. Snille, okay. Sure.
Are you okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He's just,
no,
I think he would have gone. Oh yeah, no, I feel like he would have gone through it eventually. I'm okay.
No, but, he's fine. Turtle Stance is providing.
Yeah, he would have turtle stance through it. Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, that's Baron now for Nativz, and they're gonna just move over to the Elder.
Ooh.
And I posed the question: should Rising Dawn just kind of let this one go to Elder and then be potentially strong enough to fight at the Elder? The issue is, I don't think they're strong enough to fight at the Elder anymore. They've just fallen too far behind.
I'm afraid as soon as I see the Udyr popping up the bear stance, you're like, okay, he's going in. He's going in. And I think that's a feeling that the enemies have as well, as Twisted Fate is looking for the back door, but meanwhile, Vangstead is there waiting for it as well. He has teleport available if he needs to rotate into the enemy's team fight, and I don't think Twisted Fate can 1v1 this, but meanwhile, Lundorf thinks that it's going to 1v5 them. Meanwhile, Snille goes in. Oh, he's trying to fight on Limitless. We're focused on this side, but look at Udyr fighting off the Zeri. You have no idea how fast I am. Here comes O'Neill, fast as a car. He's going for
Oh,
the
Penta,
front line as
Penta,
well.
Penta, Penta!
Limitless is trying to do anything, but meanwhile it's a quadra kill coming in for Lundorf. And this is going to be Relay trying to end the game by himself. 7-28. Two teams tied up at the beginning of the day, but by the end of it, it doesn't seem like it.
Archer! Ludolf got a pentakill, man!
Was it a penta? It said
It was a
quadra.
pentakill!
I got trolled by the spectator.
No, you didn't! It came up! It literally came up! Archer!
I missed it.
Archer!
Okay, the thing is, you have no
Archer!
idea how many pixels I have on my screen, so.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, in all
You know what
seriousness,
I'm
no.
talking about.
Yeah, I do. I do. Look, what's really funny is I've just heard in my ear that Lundorf is now having the interview. Beforehand, we was told that Lundorf, uh, oh no, Lundorf is taking the place of Relay. So Lundorf actually now has the interview off the back of that. But that was a really convincing win for
was.
Nativz, right? That's what we needed to see from them from day one, and we need to see more of that level of play consistently. But for Rising Dawn, yeah, not really much to talk about, unfortunately. I feel like it just got shut down from minute one. I think from the draft, Nativz just had a really good understanding of how they wanted to play out that game and the win conditions that Rising Dawn had in terms of, trying to make a dive-esque kind of composition work, which is never really enabled by how Nativz were playing the map.
And this is the natives that we need to see. These are the natives that we saw in the spring split. And this is a team that, well, they're back in summer split apparently. Let's see what they have to say after this small break, and I'll see you soon.